We're looking at the Commotion Rohloff shifter, which is designed to fit a 31.8 handlebar onto a drop bar, including going over all the bends and curves. We'll also have a 26.0 handlebar version of this, but this one is the 31.8, and Logan here is going to show us how to install this unit. So why don't you go ahead, Logan.
So start by sliding the shifter up the drop bar, and I found that if you face the holes face up for now, and then just kind of set the screw so it will stay in position, you are able to see down in the holes to find where the cable ends fit. And then you want to set the number dial to right between 7 and the 8 mark, and that'll be on the underside, and that will allow you...
Hold on a sec, we're going to just go under here so they can see. So the 7 or 8 is lined up with the alignment point.
Once we're at that point, we can grab our cables and begin threading them in.
It looks like you could also just center the CO just right in the middle on this side.
Yeah, that would also be a good...
Then you wouldn't have to look underneath.
So this first cable will go on the right, and it'll come out. Let's go ahead and pull it all the way through. And wiggle it till it seats in the right spot. Next cable out here, and it is going to go in the side opposite the other cable end while still holding the dial in the same position.
Very good.
And it comes out like that. And then let it seat, and then to double check that you have it right, take both cables and pull one and let the other one go, and your grip should be spinning. If you have it spinning, you did it right.
Nice. Okay. And then they put the ferrules in here, set the cable housing in, and the rest of the adjustment is pretty standard, correct?
Yep.
Logan, he's going to show us the steps.
Alright, so we have our shifter so we can see it for that last step. Now we want to orient it so it's 45 degrees from the ground, so approximately like that. We also want to leave enough space between the shifter and the faceplate of the stem for an accessory like a light or a bell, and also
handlebar bags,
yeah, whatever. And that also provides a nice easy transition for the brake cable housing to come through here once we get to that point.
Let's slide it off and just give them an idea how much needs to slide on. So you want to avoid this tapered section here. Make sure that you're on the full diameter of the handlebar. And don't be on the shoulder here, but engage the full diameter. This is the clamping section of the shifter, and to the left of this section here, it opens up. So you only need to engage this band right here. So slide that up. We can see our flat point starts approximately right there. So we'll slide the shifter up, located at 45 degrees. So the cables will be coming out at approximately 45 degrees. And we'll tighten the bolt. Now it's time to put the cable stops and the ferrules on the housing. So the top cable is coming out of the right side of the hole. So we want to take the roll-off cable stop and put the cable through the right hole. So I bring this up here, going through that hole. That will slide up, just like that. And that angle should be
facing the shifter.
Let's pull that out and show that one more time.
That angle
Okay.
slides in just like that.
Very good.
And now we'll put our cable with ferrules, slide it up to it. We'll thread the cable in there. Eventually. There we go. Now we'll slide up like so. Now we'll grab the other one. And this cable ferrule, or cable end. Now if we look at the shifter, we'll see that this cable is coming out of the left part of that hole. So we want the cable stop to be oriented correctly, and we'll put the cable through the left hole on it. So just like this.
Wait, can we show that again?
Yep. So
Going into the left of the
Into the
two
left.
small holes.
and that will come
Okay.
through. And that angle pointing up towards the shifter, so it's kind of the opposite of the top one. Piece in there. And we put our cable housing with ferrules on. And pull the cable through. Now at this point, we want to find out which cable is your pulling cable when you're shifting to a higher gear. So we'll just go ahead and hold on to one of the cables, and we'll play with the shifter here until we figure out which one is pulling. We'll get a reset here. Which one is pulling when you're shifting to a higher gear. So we're on the first gear right now. As I shift to higher gear, the cable I'm holding is being let out. So that's not the pulling cable. So we want to note that the pulling cable is this bottom cable.
Okay.
And this will matter later on when we start installing the cable box on the hub.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Logan.
remember from step 2, we found out that this bottom cable was the cable that will be doing the pulling on the shifter. So this cable, we're going to route on the inside cable slot there, and then we'll
On the bottom.
and then we will put the pushing cable in the middle, like so. And then basically we want to keep that pattern as the cables come down the down tube. So this is important to keep in line. So that bottom cable is going to be the inside cable, and the middle one is going to the middle slot on the cable guide on the shell here.
Okay.
And so we still know this is our pulling cable, and that'll be important here because we're going to route it into the cable box. Our pulling cable, the inside cable, and so we want to take this piece of housing that we cut to length and thread it on the cable. So, and make sure to follow what we've been doing before and put that pulling cable on the inside cable stop, like so. And we'll grab the middle cable. There we go, yeah. Alright, so once you have that, go ahead and put it in the middle cable stop, like so.
Well, basically we have an inside cable stop and an outside cable stop. And we've got pulling cable on the inside and pushing cable, if you want to call it that, on the outside. This cable stop is for the brake cable, so that's got nothing to do with the shifter setup. This is the way we set up our commotion, Rohloff equipped bikes, And of course, if you have another brand of bike, it could have an entirely different setup. This is the external gearbox that comes with your Rohloff equipped co-motion. And we're going to show you how to set this up on the bike. And the first step is over here, where the external gearbox or cable box fits onto the Rohloff hub.
We're going to go ahead and measure the cables out to the correct length, which is 200 millimeters, and this will allow them to ride in the internal gearbox correctly. So what I like to do is grab either one, it does not matter, and pull it and make sure the shifter has released all the cable it can on that one housing and cable. And then you can take your tape measure and measure 200 millimeters,
which is approximately 8 inches if you don't have a metric tape.
Wherever it's at. There we go. So approximately right there, close to 8 inches. And we'll cut the cable. Just like that. Now we'll do the other one next. And this one, go ahead and pull it. And you see that one is releasing. That's good. And we'll take our tape measure and measure 200 millimeters. Which would be right about there. So then we'll cut the cable. Alright. Now what we want to do is set the shifter and the nut here to the same gear. This will be important, otherwise your shifting will be off. So what I like to do is grab an 8mm wrench, which fits on this nut, and as you can see, this is what does the shifting. That internal gear mechanism box will actually move this, but the wrench will do what we're going to do. So we want to find the low gear, so as you pedal the bike, you can turn this and you can feel which gear is making the wheel spin the most and which gear is making it spin the least. And what we want to do is have it to where the wheel is spinning the least amount and your cranks are going really fast, which means you're in your low gear. So that is going to be right here. Now if we were in a high gear, you know, it'd be wherever, and then we'd be moving that wheel really fast, and as we shift to the lower gear, the wheel is spinning slower and slower and our cranks are going faster. So we want to go all the way. So essentially you're going clockwise, yep, as far as you can go to get it into the lowest gear. And when that stops, that means you're in your first gear. Okay. So once we're in first gear there, we want to put our shifter on the first gear. So we come over here and slide the grip to first gear. And then you want to pull your cables back. Pull all the slack out. Like that. Okay. And then we're ready for our internal gear mechanism. Okay. Juan showed you before. We're going to go ahead and take the cover off. This takes the T25 Torx screwdriver. Get that one off, and we'll take the other one off. That, and then we pull it apart, we can see the cam and the barrel adjusters. So this will ride like this on the bicycle. Your hub will be right here, and that will go like that. You want to remember that because it's easy to put this cam in backwards and it won't work that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the cable adjusters and the cam with us, and then a 2mm wrench, and we'll go over to the bike here. One thing you definitely want to remember before you put the cam on is to put the cable adjusters on, otherwise you'll be doing it all over again. So those will slide on.
Slide it onto the cable.
Like so.
Okay.
And we'll grab our can here. And remember, this was orientated, so the big inset part goes on the hub. So like so. So we know that our pulling cable is the inside cable. And that one, if we have our 8mm wrench, grab it real quick. Thank you, Dawn. We know that as this shifts into a higher gear, we want to pull it that way. So we're going to use this pulling one on the top. So they provide you with little holes on this cam to slide your cable into. And again, a kind of a twisting motion to get those to thread in and go all the way in the other side. And then there's a little set screw right there that we want to tighten with our 2mm Allen wrench. Like so. And you don't have to really reef on it, just get it nice and snug. And then once you get to that step, you're actually going to take this and you're going to wrap it and follow the groove around. And this is where it gets to be kind of a juggling act. But what you're going to do is you're going to take the other cable and put it in that hole. And it's going to go through like so. And then while holding everything there, grab your 2mm wrench and tighten that one down. Like so.
That's very tricky.
Yeah. Now, if I can get Dwan to grab our internal gearbox.
Alright, here comes the prop master.
That would be amazing. So this, in the right orientation, will fit like so. And you kind of got to work the cables in there and the guide or the adjusters, like so. And once you have that, you can let go. You're good. I like to test it by grabbing the grip shifter and making sure it's spinning the correct direction at this point, because if your cables are backwards, it won't work.
So we're doing the reach across, and we're verifying that it is moving the shifter, moving the external cable box mechanism.
Yes.
So now we put the cover on. There's the cover. Proper driver. And the bolts.
Alright.
Screws.
Tighten those till they're snug. Like so. Now the next step is to, on these studs, we will place these two holes with the gear mechanism. This is kind of a bend the housing so it allows it to slide on. Then once you're at this point, you're going to want the cable box to sit completely on the hub, and as you can see, there's a gap there. So what we want to do is go ahead and grab that shifter again and wiggle it until it pops into place. And there it just popped. So that takes a little doing sometimes, but once you get it flush with the hub, you can go ahead and screw this little screw in. And you don't really need to use a screwdriver on it, just get it tight with your hand.
You definitely don't want to over tighten it, because when you use your quick release skewer and drop the wheel out, you also want to be able to remove this by hand.
So that's important to not over tight. And then I guess the final step would be using your barrel adjusters to just dial in your shifter to make sure the numbers are lined up with the indicators. So, got a little slack in there. And then we'll look at the indicator. Looks good. Now the last and final
step. Set it up for number 1, and we verified that we have, no slack in the cables or relatively little slack when it's in number 1, and then we verify that we are in first gear.
So as I spin, my crank is going fast, but my tire's going slow. And then as I shift into a higher gear, you can hear the hub shifting all the way to the 14th gear, back again. It looks like we're in business. All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Logan.